Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Charge Shots Gamescast. This is the podcast dedicated to the games we've been playing and the news we've been reading. I'm your host, Ben, aka The Marvelous Iggy, and joining me, and as he's cuddling his cat for audio listeners, Justin. Justin, welcome back.
You want to say something, Weasley? You want to talk to the people? No? Okay, fine.
And, of course, joining us is Chief Godzillaologist, Tyler. Welcome back, buddy.
Meow.
And from that awkward segment,
Yeah, there's nowhere to go from there.
This is, of course, I'm your host, Ben, aka The Marvelous Iggy. Again, this is the Charge Shots Gamescast. We are a podcast dedicated to the games we've been playing and the news we've been reading. I think that's how that goes. It's been a while since I've hosted. E3 has come and gone. We took a week off just because of circumstances. E3 was very complexing, and stuff that happened to me in my life has been very, very tiresome. So, but the show is officially back on scheduled order. So this might be a lighter show than normal just because of content-wise, but we're hoping to bring you something fun regardless. So, speaking of that, let's get into what we've been playing recently. Justin, ramble on for 25 minutes as you do.
I probably won't be able to do that. I will say we didn't technically take the week off last week. We watched Space Jam.
Yeah.
So check that out because
we took a week off from doing the Gamescast. So
well, yes, I'm just saying like we put out content that is Space Jam, and you should still watch it or listen to it. Watch the movie while listening to it. That's that. There we go. Use that one.
Listen to us talk while watching Space Jam.
Yes, there's a lot of sports facts. Arguably too many sports facts.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sports facts and voice acting facts.
That's true.
See, this is why you don't do a podcast. You're not a sports fan with game people. They just don't understand.
Parents just don't understand.
No, nerds don't understand. Anyways,
That's true.
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah. So I beat Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. That game's super good. And Ben is leaving. And I'm actually playing through it a second time. I'm about halfway through in challenge mode, which is like the new game plus that pretty much every Ratchet and Clank game has had, I think. Where in recent ones at least, the only other one I played challenge mode in was the PS4 remake thing. I didn't do it for the others because I was trying to get the review out, so I just did one run. But as far as I know, in all of them, you get like more upgrades for your weapons and stuff. Occasionally, there's like a bonus weapon or whatever that you get, and then it's basically just playing through the game again, like with your max stats and like a bolt multiplier, so you can just get like hella money. Like I said, I'm about halfway through my second run. And I have like 2.5 million bolts, and I own all the weapons. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do with all that money.
Stocks.
Yeah, maybe I'll get into the Ratchet and Clank stock market. Anyway, Sprock market, is that like sprockets? Like is that a pun? Is that a thing?
Court coin. It should be court coin.
Court coin's good. Yeah, I like that. Anyway, yeah, the game's super good. I still don't really want to spoil it. I'm trying to save that for my actual video on it, which I have a lot of pages so far of notes from my replay. For those that know, I've put out 2 videos so far. One on the PS2 trilogy of games and one on the PS3 games. And each of them is about an hour long. I'm pretty sure my review of Rift Apart is also going to be an hour long. Just the one game.
Dang, boy.
I really like it, and there's a lot to say. Like, and in my defense, I'm splitting it up so it's like spoiler-free review, and then like full game spoilers, like basically running through the game, like planet by planet, and then like ending it with a ranking of all of the games in order. So like it's technically not just a review of the game, but yeah, I have a lot to say. But as far as like talking about it here, it's still kind of hard to talk about because there's really not a lot you can say like content wise without getting deep into spoilers. But there's some really cool planets. Like, since it's been a few weeks since we've talked about, the games we've been playing on the show, I'll still kind of briefly recap. There's a few planets where you like actively switch dimensions, just like as you explore the planet. So it basically switches between two maps of the same planet. When you hit these like what are called Blizon crystals, and it's basically just the PS5 flexing, because it's like, look, I can load this map in no time, boop, and then you're there. And like they even do it where you hit the crystal while on a grind rail and don't stop your momentum, but switch dimensions. It's absurd. Like the action scenes in this are great, like just a step above anything that we've seen before. And I think part of that's because like this is the first Ratchet and Clank game that's come out post Spider-Man. So
Yeah, I imagine that there'd be something to do with that.
yeah, so like there's a lot more of the like kind of physics based, like grind rail sections, and like the new Phantom Dash, like kind of platforming along walls and things like that. That feels kind of Spider-Man inspired, and I'm a big fan, obviously. So yeah, just the momentum you get is incredible, and basically every planet has its own kind of gimmick. Like I mentioned the dimension shifting, but there's a lot of other really cool examples too. They play it a little safe with the gadgets, I'll say. Like, there's not really anything new outside of the Phantom Dash, and there's no like button press gadget. Like there's nothing like the Terminator or whatever it was called before, where it's like you equip this gadget and like use it in puzzles or whatever. Everything is context sensitive. So like you've got your swing shot, you've got the grind boots, the mag boots, things like that just activate when you are in that situation, or like is on a context sensitive button like the swing shot. So like they bring in a new one that's kind of like the swing shot on steroids, but it's the same thing. It's a different colored like activation point. So yeah, I don't know. Like in some ways it feels kind of safe, but it's like instead of throwing a bunch of like gadget gimmicks at you, they throw a bunch of planet gimmicks at you. So like the things you do on each planet are super unique from each other, but they don't have you bogged down with like unnecessary gadget puzzles or anything. So it's kind of a good thing, but it also it's still a little bit more combat heavy. It's not like Up Your Arsenal type where you're just in constant combat gauntlets, but these planets are quite a bit bigger. So you'll do a little platforming section and then have like a few waves of enemies, and then another little platforming section and another few waves of enemies. Like it's kind of, there's a formula by the end for sure. But also every planet feels different enough that it never like it doesn't overstay its welcome or anything. So yeah, great game. I'm almost to the platinum. I have to find all the Krager bears, which are one of the collectibles, and you get the Map-O-Matic again, which like basically puts all the collectibles on the map, so you can find all the bolts and things like that. But these Krager bears aren't like put on the map with your Map-O-Matic gadget, so I've had a hard time finding all of those because they're like this big. For audio, they're really small, and
That's my thumb.
yeah, and like they're not really off the beaten path or anything. It's just you don't notice them when you're walking by. So once I find all those, and then I think there's one more hidden trophy that I need to look up because I've done 1.5 trips and haven't unlocked it yet. But yeah, I'm almost to the platinum. That would be the third of 3 PS3 games that I've platinumed. There we go. Like as in like native PS5 games. Well, I guess Miles Morales isn't technically a native PS5 game. It is for me though.
It kind of is, by technicalities argument, I suppose.
Well, like
Even
it is
though,
also on PS4.
yeah, but like it was mostly advertised for PS5 because that's the big bad enhancement, right?
Right, for sure. To me, it's a PS5 game, but I'm just saying it is technically a cross-gen title. But whatever. The other two, like aside from Ratchet and Clank, are Astro's Playroom and Miles Morales. So in good company as far as platinuming games goes. Um, but yeah, aside from that, I have been doing some Samus Returns on stream, and I still really like that game, and I kind of got it set up in a way that you don't need to use the touchscreen at all, like when you emulate it. So you can actually map like portions of the touchscreen to a button. So you just kind of like select the region that's being like clicked or whatever, and then you set the button that like activates that area of the touchscreen. So it allows me to do like weapon switching on the triggers, for example, which makes a huge difference. And so like the game is infinitely more playable with an actual controller and not the like arthritis inducing configuration that you have on the 3DS. But the problem is like Mercury Steam made a very good game based on a game that's just okay.
Yeah.
Because like Metroid 2 has its fair share of flaws. And you can't really do anything about that because it's the structure of the game. Like the idea of each area having like a set number of Metroids to kill before you can move on. Like that's kind of antithetical to the whole idea of Metroid being like, the free roam, like non-linear structure. And I mean, they do the best they can with that, and it's still a great game. But I was kind of struggling a little bit with some of that because, like, basically the way the structure works is you get every power up in an area, and then you have free reign to explore the rest of the area using those new power ups. But basically, all you're doing is tracking down Metroids at that point. So it just kind of slows down the pacing when, like, if it was more linear, like Fusion, for example, where everything is somewhat along the path and you're getting upgrades and killing Metroids and like, it just kind of naturally flows that way. That's fine. But with this, you basically can only go one way to get the items. And then once you get the items, it's just a ridiculous open map with Metroids all over the place. And you just kind of have to like search them out. And I don't enjoy that structure as much. Like some people do. That's fine. It's not my style of like what I like out of a Metroid game. So yeah, that's why like starting this Thursday, me and Ben are going to be switching back to a multiplayer thing. And we're going to start at Resident Evil 5.
Yes.
I did plead a little bit for people to not make me play RE6, but I would have been fine with it.
Sure you would have.
I would have. I would prefer 5, so I'm glad it won.
Why don't I believe you?
I would have. I own it, so like it's, clearly like I'm willing to play it.
5 is the lesser of 2 Resident Evils.
Yeah. It's true. But yeah, I am excited to jump back into that one because like I remember it, just being okay, but like I think it'll be a fun co-op experience. Like I think our shenanigans will be good.
Yeah, games like that are most better enjoyed when you have a friend to like bounce off of.
Yeah, for sure. And on that note, we also did some, for purveyors of Charge Shot content, you've probably already seen the stream VOD. But the quote-unquote 4 of us, including Thomas, played some Dark Alliance. What was that, last weekend? No, it was like Tuesday or something. Last Tuesday, I think. Last week, whenever the game came out.
It was on Monday, I think. Or Tuesday,
No.
yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah, because we did Space Jam on Monday. Yeah, I think it was Tuesday because that was when the game came out. And that is the new take on Dark Alliance. Like Dark Alliance was a GameCube, PS2, Xbox, like Diablo clone type thing, like multiplayer Diablo clone. That was kind of just like a top-down dungeon crawler with action RPG elements and a loot system and all that stuff. Like, this is basically a new version of that. And I mean, it's not like it's not that like it's kind of an evolution of the idea of what Dark Alliance was back then, but it's just not a very well made game. So we mostly just spent like an hour and a half just ripping on it, and then we couldn't do it anymore. And in that whole time, Tyler never got to play.
Yeah, I inadvertently canceled the download while we were planning this, all because I was trying to stop the update for Tekken 7. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise because that game looked trashy as shit, and
Yeah.
I pray for your souls. Funny as shit to watch, though.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a lot of fun. I've had some fun like finding some highlights and trying to like highlight those highlights further. But yeah, like the game has some merit. It's just so poorly made that like the good moments don't get a chance to like shine, I guess. Like for example, it has a pretty solid loot system. With like some kind of visually pleasing, armor customization variety and stuff. But when you find treasures in the quests, and these fairly well designed, like laid out dungeons, you don't actually like get to do anything with them. It pulls the like unidentified item idea with everything, where you just grab like a rarity of whatever. So, like, you'll open a chest, and it'll say, like, uncommon cape or something. And you don't know what that is until you complete the quest and go to your, like, shared chest or whatever and actually, like, pull the equipment out of that to add it to your inventory. So, it's a D&D game where you can't customize your character on the fly, which kind of ruins the point. Like, at the very least, you should be able to do it at the campfire, like, when you take a short rest or whatever. So, like, you spend the entire dungeon with the same gear on, not really knowing if it's any good, which is the same problem Anthem had. You'd think they would have learned. And then you do a bunch of repetitive combat. Like, at least if you could switch out your gear and stuff in the middle of a quest, like, it gives you some incentive to keep grinding out the boring combat because you get some loot to try on. But it just makes the quests feel that much more boring and repetitive because you don't have that kind of thing to break it up. But, I mean, I thought the environments and stuff were solid. There just wasn't anything to do in them. And a lot of really obtuse mechanics. Like, we kept dying in the ice because you're apparently supposed to touch this, like, hot sword that's stuck in the ground, and it gives you a condition that lets you walk through the ice freely. That's not a D&D thing. Like, there's nothing D&D about the game, really.
Yeah, there's not even a single dice in the game. Worst game ever, 0 out of 10.
Right. Like, at least with, like, Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff, which isn't technically based on the D&D system. No, that one is. Sorry, I was thinking of Divinity. That's not based on D&D, but Baldur's Gate 3 is. At least with that, like, it actually takes the D&D mechanics into account with its, turn-based RPG system, where, like, it shows you a percentage to hit, but it's based on, like, a D20 roll plus your modifiers and stuff. And you can actually see that side of it, like, on the back end, or you can just see the base percentage, like, and then you have, like, your spell slots and all that kind of stuff in combat. Like, that's all pretty solid, but Dark Alliance doesn't even have a magic class. The 4 characters, like, you don't even create your own character. It's just preset, like, D&D characters, I guess. There's a fighter, a barbarian, a ranger, and
Gimli.
a dwarf. I forget. I thought that was the fighter. It doesn't matter. They're nothing. Yeah, it's really bad. Is the point.
Yep.
And just to fill the rest of my time, because we're at like 20 minutes right now, and Ben is timing me, so I've continued my mobile gaming adventures with the diecast game that I've talked about a few times, and I'm only bringing it up because I am ranked in the like top 200 in the country so far. Like I keep playing it, so I keep going up the ranks, and it's gotten to the point where like it's kind of frustrating because it's got some pay to win elements. Like once you unlock the ability to equip your characters and stuff, you basically can get like gear slots where, like, you know, when you open a treasure chest or whatever, you might get like 15 of like a pauldron or whatever that's specifically to upgrade one character's like one stat. So it's all random. Like whatever you get is random. But, you know, of course you can spend money to unlock more of these like high-end chests and get more of this stuff, or like spend money specifically on a character and you'll get like, you know, multiple hundred of each like equipment piece to just upgrade the crap out of them. So I don't do that. You know, I'm just taking the random grind and slowly upgrading my characters. And I'm going up against these people that have their stats so buffed that like their starting HP and attack is like twice mine. So like I'm starting at a disadvantage. And then you can also like you can set your card deck with various cards that you unlock from like achievements and level ups and things like that. And there's your card deck is based on like each card has a set value or whatever, and you have a max value for your deck. But if you just put in like, you know, die numbers or whatever, like you're guaranteed to get those. So like you could put a 6 in your deck and like you'll always have a 6 sitting for you when you load up the game or whatever. Or there's more complicated ones, like the ability to swap locations. So like you and the other person like switch, you know, what tile you're on, which can be beneficial in various ways to get closer to your goal or whatever. Or there's also some absurd ones, like just an attack card. So wherever you are, you just do an attack against the enemy just by placing this card. Whereas normally that's like, you know, a tile on the board that you have to land on. And there's like a critical that does like 1.5 times damage with an attack, and that's also a card that you can find. So like people can bring these decks in that are just broken because they've, you know, done pay to win mechanics, and they're at the same rank as me, but their characters are so bloated that I don't possibly stand a chance to win. So it's gotten to the point where like, because you're, you know, randomly match made, I will win maybe 1 or 2 times and then lose like 4 or 5. And every time you lose, your rank goes down a little bit. But when you win, it goes up a lot. So like by losing more often than I'm winning, like my actual rank is going up so slowly because I basically lose that much over the course of so many losses that my next win just makes up the difference.
It's almost kind of breaking even at that point.
Right. And it's really frustrating because it's usually super cheap losses too. Like I will be just crushing it, and then I get a few bad rolls and they drop like a ridiculous card that like I can't come back from. And like just the tide turns in a matter of like 1 or 2 turns. So like I love this game. Like I can't stop playing it. It's like an addiction at this point because I have to fill all of my treasure slots since I don't, pay to win. Like, I need those treasure drops to upgrade my characters and stuff. But it's getting toxic where it's like affecting my mood because of how often I lose when I really shouldn't have.
And feels.
Yeah. I mean, that's a card/board game for you.
Yep.
But I still love it. I don't know. I need more like actual people to play with that aren't cheap, because the random matchmaking is killing me. But yeah, I think that's all I got. I'm doing some research into other games that I want to play, but I haven't yet. So. Oh, also, me and Ben tried to do multiplayer in Legend of Mana, and it didn't work. That game is still like the remaster still looks great, but the remote share or remote play whatever through Steam is ass. Sorry.
All right, Tyler, what have you been playing? And by the way, Justin, you were overtime, as I suspected.
Really?
Yep.
Because we're 27 minutes into the show, and I figured like 2 minutes was like starting, like the intro stuff.
Tyler, what have you been playing this week?
Okay, may as well get started. So, I was watching a well-made video last week on the Ratchet & Clank Future games. I forget who made it, but he was handsome at least. Anyway, I watched the whole video.
Now I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So anyway, I watched the whole video, and I was inspired to relive the PS2 era platformers like he did. Yep, that's right. I played through Jak and Daxter.
Yeah.
Made by Naughty Dog after being done to Crash Bandicoot after 4 great games on the PS1. This little gem debuted on the PS2 in 2001. I never really played it as a kid, but I tried it and its sequels back in 2012 when the PS3 Master was a thing. I remember that specifically because my first niece was born around that time, and they hold a special place in my heart. So yeah, last week, while we were doing Space Jam, I beat the first Jak and Daxter in the span of 2 days. I got all 101 power cells and unlocked the secret ending, which isn't all that great if I'm going to be honest. The plot itself is pretty rudimentary, and the gameplay is simple and fun. The characters are entertaining, and it still holds up graphically for an early PS2 game. The biggest takeaway for me is the lore laid out and the grand mysteries of the world they live in. It's a realm where ancient deities known as the Precursors are all but gone, but left behind mysterious artifacts used as technology. There's also elemental magic known as Eco that comes in 6 flavors, and only a select few can harness its power fully. The lore is sporadically sprinkled throughout the entire game and purposefully leaves many questions unanswered since they knew sequels were going to be a thing. Speaking of which, the real big game I've sunk my time into recently is the sequel, Jak 2, which is incredibly different from the first game, let me tell you. It picks off where the first game left off, where we finally see the thing behind the door open by collecting every single power cell. It's a giant precursor sleigh that has buttons and a giant portal thingy. The good guys power it on, and a rift opens with monsters flying out of it, led by a bigger monster that seems to know who Jak is. They flee into the rift, but Jak and Daxter are separated from Samos the Green Sage and his oddly hot daughter Kira, and find themselves in a dystopian city. Jak is immediately taken away by guards in red, and Daxter promises to rescue him as soon as possible. Cut to 2 years later, we find Jak has been experimented on by the city's leader, Baron Praxis, who for that time pumped Jak with Dark Eco, which is pretty much the bad juju juice that turned Daxter into an Otzel in the first game, and also instantly killed you in the first game. Why it doesn't do that in this, I don't understand. Dark Eco is kind of important and also incredibly sporadic on how its rules work. So yeah, Daxter finds him and learns that Jak, the mute from the first game, can actually speak now, and more importantly can transform into a rage monster. They learn from an old man and muted boy that they are in Haven City, a cesspool of scum and villainy where Praxis flexes his authority. The old-timer points the duo to a band of freedom fighters led by someone named the Shadow. who wishes to see this regime fall. They meet up with a guy named Torn, who gives them several jobs to take Praxis' army down a few pegs, and during a sting operation, Jack learns the Crimson Guard are supplying dark eco monsters known as the Metalheads with eco. They eventually learn from Crew, who looks like the obese people from Wall-E crossbred with Jabba the Hutt, that Praxis has been dealing with Metalhead leaders so that he can stay in power. He supplies them with eco, and they attack the city just enough that he looks like a hero. Topical. So yeah, a bunch of spoiler stuff. I'm not going to go into the plot too much. They go into lore a little bit, going in the origins of Haven City and how Jack and Daxter eventually find out that they are actually in the future. Like, that couldn't be any more obvious. So, yeah, Jak 2 is more narratively stable than the first game, but despite the tonal shift, it is still remarkably similar gameplay-wise. You still got the double jump, roll jump, punch, and spin, but you eventually gain the morph gun, a real beauty of a weapon. Unlike the first game, there's no eco-globs that give you different powers, like shooting fireballs or gaining magnetic powers or moving faster. So the gun compensates for it by having 4 modes of each color. So far, I've only unlocked red, blue, and yellow, which are the shotgun, the chain gun, and the long rifle. And despite how incredibly out there it seems to have cute Jack firing a firearm, the gunplay in this game actually isn't that bad. It's really satisfying to shoot things in this game. The shotgun has a tiny AoE effect. Its blast radius isn't that great, but it's pretty powerful, and you eventually get a mod that makes it so that you can shoot faster, which is neat. The long rifle is probably the best weapon in the game, because you can shoot it really quickly, it does decent damage, and it has a shit ton of ammo. And when you get off a punch and shoot, you can shoot like 5 bullets off at once, and yeah, that's pretty godly. You also have a minigun, which shoots things a bunch, which is kind of like the long rifle, except a little bit more limited. But it's really good at dispatching larger dudes. The only eco that you find in the open is Dark Eco, which fills up a gauge that lets you turn the Dark Jack when it's full. He automatically homes in on enemies when you punch them, and you get new skills like a shockwave attack to the story, but it feels like a last resort type of deal. It doesn't last very long and deals as much damage as you would using the morph gun, so honestly, Dark Jack is kind of useless. Unlike the first game, which is a Banjo-style collectathon, Jak 2 is pretty much baby's first Grand Theft Auto, trademark Super Butterbuns. You travel around the hub area, usually by vehicle, to specific destination markers, do missions requested by secondary characters, accidentally cause a ruckus, and get chased by the authorities until either you die or they stop caring. Vehicles weren't great in the original Jak and Daxter. They felt kind of loose, and the lack of a brake button really screwed me over more times than I'm likely to admit. And they aren't much better here. You can shuffle between hovering between 2 different levels. Like, you can drive to ground level and a little higher up. And you'll have to do that a lot if you want to get anywhere quickly without obeying traffic laws. Seriously, the NPCs in this game move slower than the speed limit. And if you crash anything, it damages your ride. Damage it enough, the thing explodes and you lose health. It's even worse when the hover bikes, since they're about as durable as a sheet of paper. Some of the missions you'll be doing are varied, from racing the clock, killing enemies, collecting things, or reaching a specific destination. But a lot of these can be pretty obnoxious when they're compounded with the biggest problem I have with Jak 2 as a whole. So you got 8 units of health at max, but most enemies do 2 units worth of damage, meaning you'll be taking at least 4 hits until you die. You also don't have invincibility frames, and in a game that throws a shit ton of Crimson Guards or Metalheads at you at once, you'll die a lot. As an extra kick in the ass, checkpoints are incredibly stingy on most missions, so you might have one in the middle, and others not at all, meaning that if you screw up once, it's back to the beginning of the mission. There's one mission that actively angered me, and it's probably the best example of this. you'll find a thing at the docks, an important MacGuffin. I honestly forgot what it was, and you have to take it to a specific route without falling in the water, or a drone instantly kills you. What stands between you and the goal is a bunch of Crimson Guards out for blood by constantly dropping from dropships en masse. No matter how many I take out, a million more keep coming from every conceivable angle. I had to retry this mission at least 30 times. Oy. So aside
That's
from the
actually when I
nitpicks
stopped playing the game. I hated that mission. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, but I eventually got through it. So yeah, aside from the nitpicks I have so far, I am enjoying this game. Daxter is way less annoying than he was in the first game. He was pretty much Jack's mouthpiece in the first game, although the quips that he had there weren't exactly quips. They were more like, "Eh, look at me, I'm funny." But in this one, they gave him more witty dialogue, and there are actually some instances where his one-liners actually made me laugh. Like, there was one where Crew, the big fat guy, is all like, "I need to take my beauty sleep," and Daxter is immediately like, "Trust me, there's not enough time in the world." So yeah, I got a kick out of that. Events progress at a decent pace. The dystopian world is a stark contrast to the bright, colorful world of the first game. The lore introduced is fleshed out and explored in interesting ways, and I enjoy most of the new characters, which includes Jack, since he never spoke in the first game at all. He's an edgy, angry boy who wants to get revenge on Praxis for torturing him for 2 years, and make sure he's the one doing it. Torn's pretty cool too. He's the leader of the Resistance while the actual leader is out, so he's pretty pissed about everything, and is especially antagonistic when Daxter speaks, which is understandable. I also kind of enjoy Sig, a wastelander who works under Crew that really loves hunting metalheads like a kid in a candy store. It also helps that he has the voice of Phil Lamar, one of the all-time goats of voice acting. So yeah, I'll probably be finished by next week, and let you know about the ending if you don't care for spoilers. But yeah, aside from that, I've just been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I've recently been dabbling in a new archetype. Like, I built a Utopia theme deck, which is basically a whole bunch of Xyz monsters that go into each other. And it's pretty busted. Like, I've had monsters break the 10,000 attack threshold consistently in every single duel. Like, it's nuts. But yeah, that's all I got.
So for me, I beat Indivisible off stream. I'm sorry for anybody who liked me playing that game. I just needed something to play, and unfortunately, a lot of what I had to play was RPGs, and I wasn't really in the mood to start another one, at least right now. So I was like, let me just play Indivisible. It'll just be my own personal thing, and I'm kind of glad I did, because I don't know if I could have handled it on stream based on what happens. I won't get into spoiler territory, but I do feel like the lead up to the final confrontation with Kala, the ultimate goddess that you have to destroy, is the weakest part of the game. And only because the game doesn't really have... It tries to be an RPG with it's making you do like side quests for all your characters, which is cool at the end, but it's kind of hard to keep track on where to go where. And sometimes the game will tell you, okay, go to this specific spot, but then sometimes it won't because it wants to be cryptic, which I don't understand. If you're going to tell me for one thing, you're going to tell me for the other. And for the most part, you don't really get anything for doing the characters. You get maybe a little bit of experience, and sometimes you'll get like an item, but that's only from a handful of them. And most of the time it's just story stuff. So I only did it because I like all these characters. I think these characters are cool, and you'll hear throughout the game, you'll have heard about all their narratives. Like Kadira, she's one of my favorite characters, and she talks about trying to find her brother who is lost, thought to be dead in the war, but she doesn't believe it. You find her brother, and turns out her brother is alive in the Iron Kingdom and has a family, and he thought she was dead, and so when he had a little girl, he named the little girl after his sister Kadira. So that's a sweet moment. There's some really good moments, but I think that's I think if you're gonna do the side quests, it's gonna be dependent on if you like these characters or not, if you like their interactions or not, and stuff like that. Otherwise, I didn't really feel like it was worth it or intuitive enough to do it. Um, uh, I will say, I think to get the most emotional impact out of it, do all the side quests because basically you're like what I did like about it is when I stopped the game, um, Ajna was at a point where she was getting super arrogant and angry of like she was getting real frustrated with like we're wasting time, we have to go defeat Kala, all this other stuff is bullshit. Why are we doing this? And you fight Kala and you think this is where the end of the game is at. You fight Kala and it's just it's Kala ends up Ajna ends up losing complete control and she basically turns into like a giant monster. She even destroys a city, in her in her monster form. And it's actually really unique. A boss fight that you have to like you have to. It's like the only time Ajna's not in the is not in the party, but like you have to take down Kala so she can basically retaliate against Ajna. Otherwise, you're gonna take a lot of massive damage from Ajna. Funny enough. But it's a good humbling moment for her because she like has some like moments where like she has to think introspectively of like I'm being selfish. This is not the person my father raised me to be, and it's a learning experience for her, and it's great. So I think, and in doing so, helping other characters goes with that narrative. I just wish it was better intertwined with the narrative overall. But as you right before you go to like so, just to get to it, you do this awesome platforming section of getting up to her. Like it's a true test of your platforming of using all your skills that you've accumulated throughout the game, whether that's dash jumping, using the spear to hook to walls and stuff like that. It's really fun and it can be challenging at points, but I thought it was really, really fun. And until finally you fight Kala, and it's like you fight her once, and it's like okay, this is kind of easy, and she basically resets the fight, and you're like wait a minute, hold on, like Ajna kind of realizes that like she's just basically because she's a goddess, and they talk about it this entire time like she could reset the universe at any point in time she wants, and she pretty much resets the fight. So pretty much after the second time, Ajna makes the comment that like okay, right when before she snaps reality, she goes into her inner mind, which is sort of like a mechanic in the game, which I think I've talked about it before, where like all their party members hang out and like you can change there's a training mode in there and stuff like that, and basically she realizes that Kala can't touch anything in there because it's not part of her dimension. It's another whole dimension altogether. So, but Ajna basically comes to the summation that she can't beat her. She can't win against Kala. There's no winning against this goddess, and it's a real sad moment when like all her close inner teammates basically realize that this is it. Ajna's gonna go away. She's not coming back. But like Ajna isn't sad or anything. Like she's kind of has like a good complacency, not complacency, peaceful resolution about it. Like she feels like this is what we have to do. If it means saving the world, I'll gladly do this. Like, and it's a real nice considering what she was. And one of my favorite moments with this is the character she has, relationship she has with Razmi. She's the first character you meet besides Dar, at least likable character. And so Razmi is pretty much like the tsundere character where she's like, I don't really like people, but I like you, but I'm not really gonna say it because like it's that's icky. I don't trust people. Kind of like that, like yeah, and teasing people. That's pretty much what she is. And so like you get, and that happens throughout the game. And she has a really good pairedness with Ajna, and so finally like Razmi pretty much like opens up a lot and basically says like I like you, but I don't know how to say that, but I don't want you to go away, but I know you're gonna go away, and I don't want to say goodbye. Like it's like real heartwarming to see her, basically open up this way as knowing Ajna's gonna basically merge into Kala, and like even Dharani, who's like basically treats Ajna like that's her daughter, her little baby, calls her little baby girl, and stuff like that. It's really good stuff. And if you completed the side quest, they reference that and like basically compliment Ajna like you helped me. You were a good soul. This isn't fair. Stuff like that. How like a lot of them, some of them burst down into tears because of it. And considering what's been going on with me recently, it like I think I would have just probably stopped the stream right there because I had to pause the game for a bit because I just couldn't handle it. But I ultimately went it back up. The cool thing about the Kala boss fight is that you get a visit from Ajna's father, who was killed at the very beginning of the game, and pretty much tells you you have to have a solid defense if you're going to win anything. And pretty much in order to beat Kala, you have to pretty much parry almost all of her attacks. Because like that's a way of blocking it, but also it's a way of healing yourself. Because if you don't, like, you can get away with getting hit by some things. It's not like at least on this version, at least on the first playthrough, you don't have to you don't have to parry everything. But if you get hit by certain things enough, you do have to start the whole thing over. And there's 2 sections of it, and it's pretty demanding. But overall, really cool boss fight. And even though this game definitely has problems and like it's not perfect, I still call it a 10 out of 10 because the combat system is so fun. The characters are really well written. I just wish the side quest stuff was more fun to do. I think there's a lot, like especially if you don't understand, like a lot of characters will tell you, oh, like this is the Iron Kingdom, this is here, and this, and this, and this, and sometimes because if you don't have a set path, because it's your first playthrough, you're going to end up going back and forth multiple times. So my best advice is if you're going to play this game, talk to everybody, and then see who has their, do everything you possibly can before leaving that area and continuing on, and then go from there. Otherwise, it became kind of a slog a bit, but I pushed through. Very, very good game. It sucks that we won't be getting anything else from this game because of what happened with Lab Zero and and all that, which we've talked about it before. But fuck Mike Z as usual, not just for this game, but for the people he's hurt and everything like that. The livelihoods he's destroyed. But besides that, the Sonic Symphony was last Wednesday. If you haven't watched it, please do so. It's such a beautiful love letter to Sonic the Hedgehog, and I've said this multiple times, I'll continue to say it again. Even if you don't like Sonic games, if there's one thing everybody can agree on is that the music in Sonic the Hedgehog is amazing.
Yeah, right.
So the symphony is really beautiful. I cried several times, especially the second half when they brought in Crush 40 and stuff like that, because that was sort of like my era of Sonic. Because I love the original Genesis trilogy, but like I was a baby when those came out, basically. So I have more fond memories of Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 and stuff like that. Even though I didn't really play anything past that, those 2 games still resonate with me. So why am I talking about that? Well, that pretty much led me to download Sonic Adventure on my new PC. Hey, Ben has a new, nice, powerful PC. What are you going to play, Ben? You're going to play Cyberpunk? Or are you going to play Resident Evil 8? No, I'm going to play Sonic Adventure.
Hey, man.
And I don't care what anybody says. I fucking love this game, at least the Sonic stuff. Like, obviously they got better.
Yeah,
Obviously
with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles at the very least, Sonic Adventure 1 still holds up. You can say whatever you want about Amy, Big, and Gamma, but those 3 segments always hold up, and I always have a blast playing through them. Like,
I don't really care for the
Sonic
Knuckles
Adventure 1.
sections.
Like, you could do with or without him. I still think that he controls pretty fine, and the treasure hunting in this game is a lot better than it is in Sonic Adventure 2, that's for sure.
Yeah, anyways, so I've only done the Sonic stages. I just got up to the second egg, you have to chase Eggman down in Tails' tornado ship for the second time. So I just got up to there. It just felt good. Like, doing Emerald Coast again was really fucking sick. The casino level it was really nice playing the casino level. I managed to get the Emerald by just playing the Casino Nights or the Nights into Dreams pinball machine. So I just did that and pretty much just beat the level. I love that. I love the goofy side quests like that second level where Windy Valley, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Where you go up the tornado. Like, that was like, I know it's like nostalgia. It's a lot of it's nostalgia, but like that was the cool. Like, Mario 64 is one thing, right? That's that. Like, in terms of like what broke like beggar ground, that game obviously. But if you're gonna talk about what game impacted my memory more and what I have more fonder memories of more of, it's this game. I just did
Yeah.
City Highway level. Like back then, that was the sickest shit ever. Like, oh my god,
Heat
you're
Highway's so
running
cool.
down this building and breaking through glass and like that's the one thing Sonic's been known for. It's cool, and like you can bemoan about a lot of the directions he made after Heroes, but and yeah, there are gonna be YouTubers who like they clickbait off that shit saying Sonic
And if
Adventures.
he's never good.
Yeah, Sonic was never good, or 3D the 3D transition was rough for Sonic. 3D transition was rough for everybody. Shut the fuck up. Just shut the everlasting fuck up. Like please, like tired of hearing it. But so yeah,
Go
like
eat an
I just
everlasting
remember-
fuck stopper.
Yeah. We get it. Sonic's had it bad, and it's not like Mario's never had a bad game. Fucking Mario Sunshine, you piece of fucking shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Take that, apologists.
So like yeah,
Mario
I don't know.
64 is not that great either.
It's still, I mean, it's still fine, but like
It was good at the time. It's hard to go back to.
Yeah.
If I'm going back to
they,
Mario
they,
64,
they made it better.
EDS.
Like they made it better. They made better versions of it. So, besides that, I did decide to play something somewhat powerful on my PC. I was gifted a copy of The Outer Worlds and its DLC through a friend of ours who I won't name because I don't want to get him in trouble, but you all know who it is. And like number one, it really makes me appreciate the Switch version a lot because of like how much is there and how much I still recognize in the Switch version. I'm like, wow, they managed to get most of this like playable. Like that's wild. So like, also maybe my eyes are just there. Maybe my monitor's not that great, but like I put it on Ultra because I'm like I can do that now. But I didn't really see that much of a difference, honestly. So I just put it at high. It's fine.
It's quite a bit different.
Is it? I didn't notice it. Maybe I was just like, whatever. Just
I mean,
put it
I've
high.
only
Let's-
seen like trailers of the Switch version and like your video on it. I've
Well,
I've
I'm
only
talking
played
about-
the PC version, so
Yeah.
I have more experience with the PC version than the Switch version. I'm sure you got used to it and you don't notice it.
Yeah, I mean, well, like I'm talking about in the comparison from the high settings on PC to Ultra. I just I didn't see like that much where I'm like, well, this is like, oh my god, I could like.
Probably not.
It didn't really seem that create that much of a leap. Now from Switch to my PC, yes,
Yeah,
some of
okay.
the frame rate. That's the thing. So that's what I'm just saying. It made me appreciate
Gotcha.
that the port that they made work, which is that's crazy. I kind of want to try to boot up my Switch version to see if I can tolerate it. It's still a great game. I just did the first world to finish it earlier today. So, but the first time I played it, I diverted the power away from Edgewater, which is the first time you meet, because fuck those capitalist pigs. Seriously, fuck capitalism in this game. It's really the whole point of the game. And but this time I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna divert power away from the grave robbers, Adelaide's camp. But in the way that I'm Superman, I managed to not only I diverted power away from them to get them to move back to Edgewater, but I managed to kick Reed Thompson out because basically telling me, dude, you failed. Like this is all your fault. You did not do enough for your people. She would like Adelaide would be better in charge. I basically got him to leave and got the deserters to come back into Edgewater and basically have Adelaide take over and still have the board be pissed at me. I'm like, fuck yeah, fuck the board. So I managed to bring people together while initially seemingly destroying one property. So I like that the game gives you that. And
That is the best option. I think we talked about that the first time you did it, and I didn't want to spoil what the other options were. But yeah, that's what I did too, and it's the best option.
Yeah, and I figured that when I first played on the Switch, because when I got to Monarch, there's two warring factions on there, and I was able to bring them together when I know you could probably side one or the other. So part of me knew that, okay, and even our friend told us that, like, there's a way you can solve that differently besides picking one or the other. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what I was doing, but I figured, and I love that they gave you the option to kill Reed. I'm like, I thought about it. I thought about just blasting him in the head, but no, maybe.
And then I think you have to fight your way out.
That's fine. I was packing.
Because I tried to remove him from power, and it didn't work. I selected something wrong, and he was like, "No, I'm staying," so I killed him.
Oh, okay. I love that. I love how the game is. Again, I said this before last time, but I love how free the game is and how you want to play. It's a true role-playing game, and
Yeah.
of course, Parvati is such a adorable little sweetheart.
Yes.
See, yeah, I just got to Groundbreaker. I'll probably be playing it slowly. Now since I obviously beat it before, but it's such a well-made game. The only other thing I've been playing is The Takeover, which, if you have heard about it, it's probably from Matt McMuscles. I think he was like an executive producer on the game. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up in the vein of like early '90s beat 'em up games, and like it's fine. Like, I'm sorry, like maybe it's because I was just playing Streets of Rage 4, and I feel like the combat system is just much better in that game. Like, it looks cool, like it's trying to emulate like Killer Instinct looking visuals, and the music is really kick-ass. Funny enough, the music, there's a bit of music in there that I guess Matt uses for his What Happened series that I recognize, like, so this is I guess this is where that comes from. So that's cool. Like, it's a solid game. Voice acting is neat. There's actually some cool like chase sequences you can do, so it does need to change it up a bit. But I just found it just like some of the levels were a little too long, and sometimes I felt like the bosses had a little bit too much invulnerability, and they would do like the Zangief, spinning wheel hands a little bit too much, and like I don't know, it's a fine beat 'em up. It's perfectly fine. It's not the word. It's not like bad or anything, but like I feel like I kind of stopped playing it today because I'm like I could be playing other things, but I'm almost done with it, so I'll for playing this. So not a winning endorsement, but it's probably on sale for Steam for super cheap. And it's probably really fun with a lot of people, and maybe it's because I'm playing by myself. It's not as fun. But then again, I can play Street Rage 4 by myself and still feel ultra cool. And again, I'm not comparing visual styles because, like I said, the game is fantastic visually. But yeah, that's all I've been playing for this week. We're gonna take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about our brief news bits today.
Talk about our bits.
I was just gonna make that joke.
All right.
Okay. Let me know when we're on break.
We're on break. So what order are we doing these?
By the way, one thing, I added one final topic. Okay,
the esports
so
one?
yeah. Yeah, we'll just start with the Rockman stuff. Oh no, the Mortal Kombat, because we didn't talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. Did we talk down the line?
Did we talk about God of War? Or was that was y'all? Yeah, that was y'all's. Yeah, we'll talk about Mortal Kombat and then go from there, just top to bottom. Because we should run through these pretty quickly. Okay.
Yeah. I think I have them moved around a little bit, so that should be.
Did I add in the Smash stuff from today, or?
I found one about it.
Okay.
We'll do that last.
Okay.
Since like I figured that leads perfectly into Smash, so since the other one, the one I added, is from a fucking Smash player, so
of course it is.
Sure. We are back. I was doing the math on the seconds.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the news part of the Charge Shot Gamescast. Not a lot of news this week, but as expected, as of a post E3 kind of thing. That's kind of why we took last week off, because when we retired, to me and 3, a lot of news. So still not a lot of news, but whatever. It is what it is. So let's go ahead and kick right into it with some Mortal Kombat animated movie news.
Combat time.
Yes. Last year, Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge was released right around like the early start of the pandemic, as basically Mortal Kombat 1, but Scorpion's, but like most, not from Scorpion's perspective, but he was like a key protagonist in it, along with Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade, and it's basically retelling the story of MK1, but slightly different. So now that same movie has been greenlit a sequel, hot off New Line's latest film reboot of Mortal Kombat, which we talked about several months ago. It seems that fans of NetherRealm's fighting game franchise will have another adaptation to look forward to this year: Mortal Kombat Legends: Battle of the Realms, a follow-up last year's R-rated animated Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge is on the way, per the Hollywood Reporter. Although no exact release date has been set, the film is expected to be available later this summer. This new film will feature return of both Joel McHale and Jennifer Carpenter, the roles of Johnny Cage and Sonny Blade, respectively. When many cast members from Scorpion's Revenge will reprise their voice roles for the sequel, Battle Realms will also feature new voice actors, including Matt Mercer as Stryker and Smoke. I apologize if I'm producing Bayardo de Mugia as Sub-Zero, says Kwai Lang, Matt Lang King as Kung Lao, Paul Nakachu as Lin Kuei Grandmaster, Emily O'Brien as Jade, and Deborah Wilson as Devora. Yeah. So, core crew members from Scorpion's Revenge also returning for the sequel, including director Ethan Spalding, screenwriter Jeremy Adams, producers Rick Morales and Jim Craig, and executive producers Sam Register. And so, yeah, pretty much that. So, yeah, that's a much surprise to me because I liked Scorpion's Revenge when it came out. It's definitely violent. If you like,
it is.
If you didn't like the reboot movie because it lacks certain things and certain aspects, this is the movie you wanted to see, just an animated form, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fantastical.
Yes. A lot more fantastical. Joe McHale's Johnny Cage is like perfect casting.
Yeah.
Like it's that scary dumb. And there's some really cool, and it stays true to Mortal Kombat. So, and and his poor Jax. Jax never catches a break in these fucking movies.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, that's really cool.
Well, Jax was in the last one, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Poor Jax, because he gets fucked up by Goro.
Oh, right. Yeah. True.
And he gets his arm broken by Sub-Zero, and Ermac broke his arms in the game. So like, yeah, poor Jax. So yeah, that's really cool. Is this a trailer for it? I'm guessing.
No, that's a clip from the last movie.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
There's no trailer or anything. Like it's weird. They're saying it's going to be available later this summer, but like there's no trailer or release date. Or
that's weird. I don't care if it gets pushed back, but I'm just surprised. So hopefully we'll get to see Shao Kahn. Obviously, they're not going to say he's in the movie, but it's obviously it's going to follow the sort of timeline. They obviously hinted at Sub-Zero's brother Kwai Lang, and Smoke's going to be in. So hopefully we'll see Noob Saibot. Hopefully we'll see some other characters that they're not mentioning. They mentioned Stryker, who doesn't show up technically until MK3.
Yeah.
But
there's also Devora, who is new.
Yeah. They rewrote the timeline that like they were all part of like Shao Kahn's court.
Yeah.
And, like MK.
True.
So like, we just never saw them because like reasons.
Right.
So that's cool. So
I love Devora though, so that makes me happy. And I love Deborah Wilson.
Yeah. So who knows what we'll see. I hope we get into like I honestly hope it's like a replication of the Outworld tournament in MK2, or if not, it's just straight up invasion from Shao Kahn in MK3.
Probably a bit of both.
I mean, it's Battle of the Realms, so it's probably going to be some cross realm action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So speaking of cross realm action, we have a Rockman game coming from China, it seems. So yeah, Rockman XZ Time Rift is a 2D action RPG coming in 2022-2023 on mobile from China. On the heels of the weekend surprise beta news, a representative of the developer Nubula Joy has provided Rockman Corner with a few minor details on Rockman XZ Time Rift. Of course, this is off the heels of many people disappointed that not even a hint of a new Mega Man X game or even a Mega Man game at all out of E3 this year. On the heels of this week, reportedly this game is a 2D action RPG with predominant focus on single-player console-like experience. Much like Nebula Joy's recent release Capcom licensed title Devil May Cry Pillar of Combat, Rockman XZ Time Rift will incorporate optional online PvP game modes. A small selection of playable characters will be available at player disposal. The company would not, however, comment on whether or not those characters will be both from Rockman X and Rockman Zero series will appear. While that's largely assumed to be the case, specifics are under lock and key for now. That said, Rockman XZ Time Rift will be formally unveiled later this year. A closed beta will be available in China soon after. The game itself isn't expected to be anytime soon, though Nebula Joy has site sets for 22-23 window, targeting next generation mobile hardware. There are no plans for a console PC version, let alone availability outside of China initially. Why did you put this in there just to tease me? Like, why?
I mean, we gotta take what we can get, man.
Yeah.
No. No, because like you can't even get it.
I know,
It's in,
but
like, you can't even get it.
well, it's not out yet. For one, like this is the announcement of the game existing, but like it seems kind of neat with like the combination of the X and Zero series because like the X and the Z are clearly those two, like the logos for those two series.
I want to say
Right.
ZX though because we already have Mega Man ZX.
Yeah, but ZX is its own thing. This is like a mashup of the X and Z series, which take place 100 years apart from each other. So Time Rift, it's gonna smush those universes together, and
That's
that
gonna be
sounds
awkward.
awesome. Like I don't hate mobile games anymore, so this is fine if it comes here. Uh,
You never will.
Well, other Rockman mobile games never came here.
I know we never got
Officially,
Rockman Dive, but that one's just
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, it's still a game that we never got. So it's like if that's not coming over here, and you can get that in Japan, you're not getting this game.
True. Although, I mean, you can like download it, not translate it and play it. Like,
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna try to read Mandarin, or I apologize. I don't know what the other form of Chinese language are. I know those are these two written forms of Chinese, but like I'm just not gonna do that for a fucking video game. Especially when the lore itself is broken because of Capcom's own doings. So, I mean, sure, I'll look at screenshots, but I feel like this is just like sticking in a knife when the wound is still fresh after E3.
we can hope it'll
Twisting
come here.
knife.
You never know.
I'm gonna put it at 1,014,000 of a chance of it coming here. Out
I
of
mean, it
one.
worked for Avengers. All you need is that one
Yeah, we're not gonna be
timeline
that
where it
one.
happens.
We're not gonna be that one. Continue to play the Legacy X collection, people. That's all you're gonna get.
Yep. Skip X6 though.
Not play X6 if you're a masochist. All right.
No, skip X7.
So for
Yeah.
going
agree with you
from
on
from a blue disappointment to a blue excitement, Sonic the Hedgehog
Mm-hmm.
is making a crossover in Minecraft.
Ooh.
So this is actually really, really cool. Obviously Minecraft is still one of the biggest games ever, much to what Notch wants to not make you believe. Sonic the Hedgehog will be officially having its own official things inside of Minecraft. And this is just from the website, so this is really not good.
no, it's basic
Screenshots,
information.
you're basically gonna get like official avatars of Sonic, Tails, Amy, Knuckles, Shadow. I think that's E102 Gamma. I can't really tell. Either that's a pile of scrap. It looks like you're
I
gonna
think
get
it's like a little toy or something. I don't think it's supposed to be Gamma at all.
you're gonna get an official like Green Hill Zone area. It looks like, and basically make Sonic official levels. So that's really cool. And you can on the website you can like kind of drag and see a recreation of Green Hill Zone.
There's also a trailer.
So that's really cool. Obviously celebration of Sonic's 30th anniversary. He's going to be in that 2-Point Hospital game, and who knows what else. But I think that's really cool. He was already in Legos at one point. Why not put him in Minecraft?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
you can already mod in his costume at this point.
Although what I think is funny is like, Sonic is so like ramp and circle focused. Minecraft doesn't do that. Like it's all, blocky steps and stuff. So they have to basically like recreate what landscapes look like, or at least how Sonic interacts with them, to make it like compatible with Minecraft. Because if you look at the loop-de-loop, it's like a bunch of like tiny squares all like put into a circle. It's just kind of goofy. I don't know. It's like the least logical thing to put Sonic in.
Yeah, I mean, kids are gonna love it though. Kids love Sonic.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Although
Like,
these
there's
characters
even,
are ugly.
Yeah, I'm looking at the trailer. Like, yeah, there's what's the final level in Sonic Adventure 2 where he races Shadow?
I think it's called. Shit, I can't remember. I think it's called Final Chase.
Yeah, Final Chase is Final Chase. There's Knuckles' stage in Knuckles in Sonic 3. So that's really cool.
There's Chemical Plant Zone from Sonic 2.
Yeah. There's all sorts of vehicles. Eggman's in it. So So I think it's neat.
Yeah, it's neat.
It's
I've
really
read
neat.
it's vaguely broken, like it doesn't work super well yet. But that was when it came out. It's been a week or so now.
Might have to check it out.
Yeah, no Minecraft for me though. But
Yeah, this same guy, like it's a community pack technically. It's officially licensed, but it's a community pack. But this same guy has done a lot of incredible crossover things, like How to Train Your Dragon, Pac-Man. There's others I can't remember though. These are just listed here.
Pretty cool.
But yeah.
all right, and even though Justin and I tried to play Legend of Mana, it seems like Square Enix is it seems like the remakes, at least Trials and this one, and maybe even Secret, have done well enough that the next console entry in the Mana series has officially started development. Closing out the Mana series 30th anniversary live stream, producer Masaru Oyamada revealed that a new entry in the Mana series has begun development for consoles. This followed reveals in the stream for a mobile port for Trials of Mana remake. Well, that's cool. It's coming to mobile devices, as well as a new mobile game in Echoes of Mana. At around the 2:08 mark. Okay, here's the quote. It would have.
There
been
was
good
a trailer
if we could
for
make it...
Echoes of Mana, but it didn't have any gameplay or anything. It was just kind of a flavor trailer, you know.
No, okay. So that's cool. When was the last time we got like a mainline
2007
Trials?
technically.
Has it been that long?
Well,
Like a
here's
new
the thing.
entry.
Heroes of Mana for the DS was the last like mainline lore title. It was not like an official Mana game though, because it was a strategy RPG type thing. The last one that played like a Mana game was Dawn of Mana in 2006 for like PS2 or something, and it wasn't good. The last good one, I'd argue, was Sword of Mana on Game Boy Advance, but that was actually a remake of Final Fantasy Adventure. So yeah, sordid history for the Mana series. I really hope it can like reinvent itself here and come back strong.
We'll see. Square Enix is definitely they're definitely putting their eggs in their basket in like releasing a lot of JRPGs, whether they be remakes or new games, stuff like that. It's just that for some reason people don't talk about them. Even though I don't like Bravely Default, a lot of people do. Of course, Saga Frontier had the remaster come out earlier this year that seemed to do pretty well. And hopefully, even though we didn't have a good experience with it doing it online-wise, that people have a good time with the remake of what is this one called? Legend of Mana.
Yeah,
Legend of Mana.
I mean, it's a great game.
And obviously, Trials of Mana remake did really, really well, and I think the Collection of Mana did really, really well, considering it was like a lot of people bought it just to have officially licensed, translated English version of the third game.
Yeah. I'm wondering if Grezzo is making this new Mana game, though. Because Ishii, who's like the creator of the Mana series, is apparently the current CEO of Grezzo. I didn't know that. I knew he made the Mana series, but I didn't know he was in charge of Grezzo, which is a game development studio that has mostly done like remaster types for Nintendo. Like they did the Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 3D versions on the 3DS, and I think they worked on Triforce Heroes, but I might be wrong. And then they've done a few others since. I can't remember which ones, and they've had a few original titles too, like Ever Oasis. Is that what it's called? It was a 3DS game. They didn't do super well, but it was the original IP that they made. And they haven't announced anything in a while, so it's possible they're working on the next Mana game. That'd be neat. They're a good studio.
We'll see. All right, let's go into this last couple of two topics before we get into our own topic. Starting with some controversy. This is coming from the Esports Observer. This is kind of an opinion piece. So basically, I'm gonna give the some bits of it. Basically, what happened is the FGC is supposed to. Who knows if it's actually going to happen? Just because of what's going on in the world. If you're not aware, you should be fucking aware. CEO is supposed to be the first big event for fighting games. It's going to be in December, and they put a cap on how many players can be at like per game. And so recently, and so that cap was it sold out in record time, and the cap was put out pretty quickly. And then a Smash player who I won't say his name, I think his name is Mars, Marrs or whatever on Twitter, basically said that like top players should have the privilege of registering early and not have and it shouldn't go to people who are just gonna go there just to go 0-2. I would rather see players like MK Leo and Light, those are also Smash players, go instead of some guys who are just gonna go 0-2. Basically saying fuck the people who actually got up on time and registered for the event, and not two players who couldn't set an alarm to register, knowing full well when and what time registration would go live. So like, and basically calling and it like, like I understand it's capped, right? And it's definitely not normal. But considering it's not a normal time we live in, this is like I find it funny that certain, I'm not gonna say all because it's not all of them, certain Smash players, they want to be included in the FGC. They want to be considered a fighting game, but the very essence of open brackets, which is part of the FGC, a lot of those motherfuckers want to do away with that, and because they want to have top player privilege. Never forget that some Smash players were also wanting to have VIP rooms for them at tournaments, so they can go rest instead of just going to their hotel room. So, and this brings us to this headline, which basically is garbage. I'm going to say it right now. Is it time for fighting game tournaments to get rid of open brackets? And I'm not going to read the article. I don't care. Because the answer is no. The answer is fuck no. Unlike other esports games where like a lot of it is very structural and how it does, like League of Legends, Dota, stuff like that. The FGC is built on grassroots. Built on a community, your locals, everything like that. Everyday people. Me! A nobody entering Combo Breaker 2018 and going 2-2. Okay, it's like I understand that like top players, there's a certain privilege that comes with that, and that will always happen in terms of sponsorship like that. But that's why you have invitationals. Like I feel like it feels like they just want to get like some of these people, and most of them are not FGC heads. Most of them are like other esports heads or Smash players who want to get rid of invitationals. And just get rid of like the people who basically like pay good money to go to the event. Yeah, we're gonna go 0-2, but we're there to play games. Like there's stuff to do outside the tournament. I feel like you're basically just saying fuck you to all those players who, unlike certain people who will ever show up to a tournament and actually press buttons and try to compete with everybody. Like this is absolute garbage.
Yeah, like this seems like very counterintuitive to what the fighting game community was founded on, I think. Like, to me, fighting games are a way to connect with people, right? And I feel like this is the best way to express myself and to connect with other people, So, having these top players alienate all these folks that, like, register on time or whatever, it just seems really shitty to me. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like I don't understand. Like, there's invitationals. Like nobody like people who go 0-2 are not complaining that there's invitationals. Like those are cool. Like I look forward to invitationals. Like earlier today, Twitch Rivals just did a conclusion to the Mortal Kombat X tournament that Max is running. Like that's an invitational, but I feel like to say should they stop doing open brackets? I'm like, then you're just gonna take away what makes fighting game tournaments fun. The fun, like to me, I always see it like March Madness. Like when tournaments were live, it's like for those of you who don't know, March Madness is the big basketball tournament for college basketball every March, and the big fun of that is seeing upsets, and a lot of it is what makes Evo, like a tournament like say Evo, fun because of how big it is, and a top player like Tokido or Daigo or any of the US players like Punk, they could go out before even playing on stream. Like that's the cool part. Like it becomes like a fight for survival because it could be somebody from nowhere, Ohio, who's been just practicing labbing, but they don't stream, so you don't know about them, and they come in and they just body everybody. Like it's stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
fun. Does it always happen? No, but it creates interesting stuff. And to get rid of open brackets would just destroy that, and it would just make it stagnant. Because then you're like I mean, sure, you could argue that you're just seeing the same players every time now, but like I would say no. I would say you definitely see different players all the time in your top eights, and you're basically saying, well, don't even show up if you're not going to make top 8. When I'm gonna laugh if this clown Mars says all this, and then at CEO he goes 0-2. I'm just gonna laugh because he registered, but the other guys didn't. So no, number one, top players don't deserve early registration. They don't. You're gonna get treated like everybody else. Same thing. Like I think other people complain about 8 a.m. pools, showing up to your pools on time, show up on time, and no, like you already have privileges because you probably are gonna get paid to fly out there because you're a sponsored player and your team's gonna send you out there. The person who's gonna go 0-2 probably spent their own money to register for the tickets for the hotel wherever they're staying at and everything to get there to go 0-2. Like I went to Combo Breaker knowing I was probably not going to make it out, but like and to me I feel like that's a slap in the face to anybody who is just trying to play games.
Yeah.
God, fuck Smash players sometimes, I swear to God. Tom, yeah. Justin?
What?
Okay, we're moving on then. Okay.
No, I have nothing to say. I mean, Smash Players is the worst, but I have nothing to say on this topic.
Yeah, so we're moving on. Okay, so we got one last thing to talk about before we move on to our own personal topic, which is the Kazuya presentation in Smash, which was released earlier this morning. In fact, you can actually listen to Tyler's audio version of the direct that happened this morning. It's on chartshow.com right now. So yeah, this is a really cool in-depth, and I'm not a Tekken player. The last time I played a Tekken game was Tekken 3, like actively. And I was surprised on how complicated Sakurai and his team made Kazuya.
Yeah, he literally has almost all of his moves from the games. Like, basically the whole gimmick is that in Tekken, every button is a limb. You have 4 face buttons to work with. Right punch, left kick, all that stuff. But Smash only has 2 buttons. So how do they make this work? Well, they have devil commands for the specials. Like you have the laser beam and the flying and stuff. And as for the actual moves themselves, normally you have the regular tilts. Like, up A, forward A, regular A, all that stuff. They're all different commands, and you also have directional commands like you would in Tekken as well. Like, down forward +2 in Tekken is Kazuya's Demon Fist, which is pretty much just a savage right hook. And it's basically the same command, but it's down forward +A. And yeah, there's a bunch of moves, and they all have different properties, and almost all of them animate exactly as they do in the original series. With the exception of the Demon Scissors, which looks kind of weird in this game, but I'm not too bothered about it. So yeah, he looks really cool. He looks really faithful to his Tekken counterpart. They keep the Tekken flow intact, and I really do appreciate that a lot. I'm also really excited for all the musical choices that they made regarding the DLC pack. One of which I fucking called. Moonlit Wilderness from Tekken 5 is going to be in the game, and I could not be happier. If you haven't listened to that track or seen the stage it's attributed to, go check that shit out. It is great. I love it. And also another thing that I predicted is King and Nina being spirits, portrayed by Zero Suit Samus and Incineroar. So yeah, that was another cool thing that I called out. They also announced some Mii costumes, which I'm pretty sure Ben was going to get into. Two of which probably actively angered people, but I don't really mind as much. We got Mii costume for Dante from the Devil May Cry series as the sword fighter, and we have Shantae as the brawler. And they also added in the Burning Town theme from Half Genie Hero, which is neat. They also added in the Dragonborn costume for the Mii Swordsman, and also they put in Lloyd from Tales of Symphonia, which I think is a holdover from Smash 4.
Yeah, he's
sure.
he's the last of the legacy Mii fighters.
Yeah.
So everybody's here, you know?
Yep, everybody's here. All that's left is that one final character, which will be the last character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
As to who it is, we have no clue. It'll probably blow everything out of the water. It could be completely average. It could be completely trash. Who knows? All I know is the roster in Smash Ultimate is absolutely perfect, and I am so happy that all these third-party characters have so much representation. It's just great. I love it.
Plus, we can now officially say that it's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
Yeah, you put that sticker. Also, Devil May Cry fans, you're not funny after the 100th person put the "What the hell is this" clip already. Stop.
Yeah.
You stop.
One person did it. That's enough. You're not funny after that. Stop it. Your guy was deconfirmed. It's okay. My girl was also deconfirmed. It's okay.
They're still technically in the game, though. At least
Yeah.
they have representation.
They clearly weren't going to get it otherwise.
Yeah.
So this is something. Take the win.
My favorite thing was somebody tweeted out, and I put this in our private Discord, but I found it so funny. That I'm very glad to see Dante as a Mii fighter. Now people can pretend to play Smash the same way they pretend to play Devil May Cry. Which, yeah, I found that really funny. So that's cool.
You also put in the Devil May Cry tweet.
Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry is really good. So yeah, I haven't actually watched this presentation yet because I haven't had any time today. But I am curious how they because the intro is talking all about how you can't just put a Tekken character in Smash. Like, it's fundamentally different. And granted, that's the same for every fighting game. But I liked kind of the deep analysis of how Tekken plays versus how Smash plays.
Yeah, it's like he said in the Terry presentation that Sakurai definitely knows his fighting games, so he has to drop those knowledge bombs on us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm really curious how they make that work. Like, I don't really care about the character, but I like the idea
Blasphemy.
of the different fighting games being represented in a faithful way in this fighting game. Because a lot of times you see the crossover games like X-Men versus Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom and that kind of thing, and they don't really feel like the original characters. They just feel like they have their moves.
You're gonna need to stop there because that's wrong. But okay.
I said a lot of times, not every time.
Those are both bad examples of they don't feel like they're characters.
Those are just the first ones that came to my mind.
I'm gonna pounce on you.
If you said Street Fighter Cross Tekken, then you'd be right.
Yeah, exactly. That would
sure.
have been more. Actually, that's even a bad example because the Tekken characters at least feel like Tekken characters in 2D, at least in that game.
As close as you can get, anyway.
Yeah,
it's just not the same though.
Yeah,
but it's like they're taking the cross characters and making them feel like they play in the game engine that it's using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really goes to show that Sakurai really does care for these characters and the games that they come from.
Yeah. It's neat.
Yeah, the stage is really cool. I like the crunchiness you get when you throw somebody through the Mishima Dojo.
Yeah.
And Kazuya, again, not a Tekken player at all, but I just love how hard he hits. He looks like he hits like a truck.
That's always been his thing. He's basically the hard-hitting dude who rewards your patience with incredibly hard-hitting combos.
it's. I'll try them out. Definitely. I don't
And
know
then
if
you'll
it'll
play
be
Tekken
me.
Tag Tournament, and we will be friends.
You actually not friends now.
Yeah.
I like his alt costumes. Like
Yeah, the suit's
the
great.
DLC for the most part have had like way cleaner and like different alt costumes than just like color reskin or whatever. And I wish they'd go back and redo some of the others. Like I saw some people on Reddit after Metroid Dread was announced saying that they would pay for like a DLC alt costume of Samus's Dread costume. And like I totally agree.
Yeah.
Like if they would just add in, obviously they're done with characters after this next one. But if they want to keep releasing DLC, release alt costumes, Echo Fighters, that kind of thing that like doesn't take a lot of development, but
Yeah.
like people will pay for the cosmetic.
Absolutely.
I'd love that.
I would love that very much.
Okay, we got to end the show because Weasley won't leave me alone.
Yeah. We got one final topic to go through, which I think it will be pretty good. All right. So we did a poll. And once again, I won again because my polls are my topics are superior. I don't know why, but I was watching a lot of just nostalgic videos of like old console games, and I was like, one video had the PlayStation 1 iconic startup sound, and it just made me start thinking, so boys, out of the classic video game startup screens, obviously starting in like the 32-bit era, what is some of y'all's favorites? Justin, you can go first.
Okay. I'm trying to annoy him so much that he leaves me alone. My like if I had a top 3, I guess, it would be the Game Boy Advance. And they're in this order, by the way. Game Boy Advance, PlayStation 2, and then GameCube. So GameCube's number 1 because it's just that like you see the memes of it all the time when like it goes on forever or whatever, like it loops and or like transitions into something else or whatever, but like it's so iconic that boom.
It even has the little monkey variant if you hold down Z.
Yeah, you can change up the sounds and everything for it. By the way, I realized I did the Kirby theme instead of the GameCube theme. I lost my notes there. Anyway, there you go. That's it. And the PS2 like is so calming. It's like the blocks come in and it's just like that. I had the Legacy PS4 dynamic theme, and it just has that really nice like PS2 menu music, and it just like it gets you ready for a fun gaming sesh.
Yeah.
Like it just puts like whatever issues you're having, as an angsty high schooler or whatever in my case, they just get washed away as the sea of the PS2 startup screen envelops you and says, "Come on, have some fun."
Yeah, I know, right?
And the Game Boy Advance, like, it's just flexing its color on you. Because it's, like, you have the regular Game Boy that's just like, ding! And, like, it's not that exciting. But then the Game Boy Advance, like, bounces every letter in with all those hypercolor. And it's really nice. Plus, like, that one I just remember because, like, I played a lot of Game Boy Advance as a kid. So I saw that startup a lot. But now, like, a lot of the modern ones have decent startups, but you never see them because you just put them in rest mode. So it really is those classics before, you could put your console to sleep that are the real MVPs. So that's all I got.
So I have 3, and they're all going to be from roughly the 32-bit era. Number 3 is the Sega Saturn. At least the American version, because the Japanese version is very different. Like,
I don't know that one.
It was. I'll put a link in and so you can watch it. It's like a very short clip. I have them all up.
Okay. Well,
It's like, again, most people didn't have a Saturn back in the day, but I was very lucky. And it's just how the like you can hear you can see the polygons come in and form the Sega Saturn logo, and it was just like, yeah, this is gonna be something special.
It is cool.
And it had a cool, just mystical, like, you're entering a new world of video gaming. It's it's like again, I really wish Saturns and Saturn games weren't so expensive. Otherwise, I would totally have one. But here we are. As for second, if you know me, you know it's not a surprise, but it's the Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah.
also
The
solid.
sort of the etherealness of it, the red dotness and making the Dreamcast cup, and then the orange swirl. It's just like, oh, it was like the next evolution of the Saturn startup screen, and like it just like, I remember seeing a funny video pertaining to Sonic Adventure because I had a very similar. I think pretty much anybody had a Dreamcast had a similar experience. You turn this on, and it's like in the summer, and you try not to wake everybody up, and it's very quiet. You play this, yeah, startup screen, and then with Sonic Adventure, and like everything, the audio is super loud for some reason. But it's just so nostalgic for me, and just the way it sounds. But if I'm gonna pick like my favorite, and it may surprise people based on like my preferences, but I have a lot of memories with it along with my Sega Saturn. The PlayStation 1 intro.
Oh yeah.
That intro, and I remember being so mad when I got a PS3, and I was like, my friend told me, "Hey, you know you could play PS1 games on there, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, I can hear the music again." They cut it from the PS3 re-releases.
Oh, the
and I
Sony
hate
Computer
that so-
Entertainment one, at least. The PlayStation logo is still there.
But it doesn't have the shoo. It doesn't. It's all one thing. It just
Yeah.
says the Sony. That's it, and it's not the same. And I hate it so much. Like like, and I talk about like the Saturn entering another world. This felt like I was entering another world, and like I distinctly remember putting Tomb Raider into my PlayStation and just going like the way that it sounds. It's like a spaceship opening up or something. It's hard to describe, but like it's just like that. The je ne sais quoi.
My thing with the PS1 is like it's just a logo, like it's a static screen. Like the music's great, but it doesn't have that like, welcoming animation to it. Whereas like the PS2 intro, like the visual changes depending on how many memory blocks you have in your memory card. Like it's such an iconic thing.
To me, it was just the sound. Like that's all.
That's
That's
fair.
all it needed. Like just like establishing this is the power. To me, it was saying this is the power of Sony and this is the power of the PlayStation, because you didn't have a startup screen on the 64.
Yeah.
So like that to me is what made this interesting. Like, whoa, holy crap. And to me, it made playing games on the PlayStation much more memorable. Sony, please, why did you cut all this out when we released these games? Like, why? Anyway, it's just so good. Tyler, wrap us up, please.
Okay, so mine are going to be a bit similar to everyone else's. It's mostly just sentimentality on my part. But my first pick out of the three that I've chosen, the first one is also going to be for the PS1. Mostly because back in Christmas of 1997, when we got our first PlayStation and we popped in Crash Bandicoot 2 for the first time, that Sony logo popping up and the PlayStation logo coming up with the music and all that, like, it was the future. Like, the only thing that we had back then was the Sega Genesis, and that didn't really have, like, a startup screen. The closest it had was... I don't know if that picked up on the audio, but it was basically the Sega. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably edit it in. But, yeah, that was the closest we had. And...
Do you just have a
was
plugged-in Genesis
pretty-
over there?
No, it's the Sonic Mania thing. It does the Sega thing when you flip the switch.
Oh, nice.
But anyway, that was really cool. My second pick is gonna be the PS2 as well. I just love the startup screen. It's just so soothing. It's also another Christmas memory that I hold fondly. I got the PS2 on the launch year that it came out in Christmas of 2000, and one of the first games I got for it was Tekken Tag Tournament, which is still one of my favorite games ever. I'm going to be working on that review very shortly. You don't expect that soon. But yeah, turning on the PS2 for the first time and just seeing that black screen with all the blocks and stuff, with the little jingle and all that, it was like going into the future, man. Like, we were so used to the PS1 at that point that we were not expecting this leap in quality, and it's just really special, you know. My third pick is gonna be the PSP. I like the startup screen in that one. It's just a tinge of nostalgia for me as well, although not as much as the PS1 or 2, because I played the PSP a bit less, but enough for it to make an impression on me. Like, I just love the white screen with the like the little guitar riff. Like, it's something special, and sometimes I boot in Tekken Dark Resurrection just to hear that boot up screen. That and to play Tekken Dark Resurrection because that game's so good. You guys should play Tekken.
I have Tekken games in my arcade cabinet, but they're not the same single player.
Yeah, it's true. If you're gonna do Tekken, do it on the home consoles, because in Tekken Tag Tournament, the PS2 version, it has bowling and better graphics.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. Sorry, I had to reach for something. Alright, that's going to do it for this episode of the Charge Shot Gamescast. Thank you everybody for tuning us live, which is at twitch.tv/ZeroScore. We're live every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, roughly. And of course, please go to chargeshot.com for all our content. Of course, all our shows, including the much against my belied reasoning, the Atomic Shart. Which is that almost over? Is it almost over?
We watched a good movie
more.
this week, though.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
It's good compared to everything else.
Right.
Justin will... Yeah, a pile of shit is still up. The top pile of shit is still a pile of shit. So be sure to check out that. Justin will probably go more on that in a minute. But I want to give an update on Cinema Shot. That will be coming out by the time this episode is out. The afterwards, Cinema Shot will come out. So we didn't record the second episode because I just wasn't mentally feeling it yet. But I feel like I'm ready as I can be. So Cinema Shot will be coming out. Again, the first episode is Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox. And then from there, we'll be doing Justice League War as following that. And then the plan is, after we finish a franchise of movies, or a series of connected movies, rather, we'll be putting a vote to the community. So Tyler will pick a franchise, I will pick a franchise, and you guys will decide which series we watch. So there'll probably be breaks in between episodes at that point, but I think that's fine. Okay, Justin, please plug your stuff.
You can find me if you look for Zero Score on Twitter, YouTube, or Twitch. I mentioned it earlier, but me and Ben are going to start streaming Resident Evil 5 this week. We would have already by the time this comes out in audio form. But point is, Resident Evil 5 is on this Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Zero Score. And it's been a long time since I've played it, and I only played it through once, like kind of, carried by a friend of mine. So it should be fun. And I also have my Ratchet and Clank videos out, and then the highlights video from the Dark Alliance gameplay we did. I will hopefully have the Rift Apart review out in the near future. I see what I did there. I have a lot of notes. I'm just still collecting gameplay through the second run of the game, so I could theoretically record any time. I don't have gameplay yet. So yeah, it's a process. And my whole weekend was taken up because our basement flooded, so I didn't get a lot done. Yeah. So that's all I got. Oh, and like you said, Atomic Shard. I guess that's not all I got. So I think when this episode comes out, we will have Mega Shark versus Colossus, which is the most recent of the Mega Shark movies, and it's actually not bad.
Don't believe him, folks. Don't believe him.
Comparatively, at
This
least.
is what we call Stockholm syndrome, when you just watch bad movies all the time.
I mean, hey, you won't know unless you listen to the show. So, your move
Show
audience.
is better in the movies.
It's true. I actually thought
Never.
this episode we just recorded was a banger. There was some fun stuff in there.
Never should have greenlit it at all, honestly.
Whatever.
You just don't like fun.
Yeah.
We did Atomic Shot together. What do you mean I don't like fun? At least those are
By the way,
fun to watch.
Also, fun fact, as of June 25th, it's the 1 year anniversary of Atomic Shot and when I joined the show. So, yeah, there's that.
Happy Chargeversary.
Yeah.
Everything I've done on this site. Tyler.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Hey It's That Ty. Check the pinned tweet down below to take you to my YouTube channel where I do Tie Your Shoes reviews, where I review old ass fighting games. And I just put out a new episode, and it's not just an old ass fighting game, it's an ass fighting game. Masters of Terrace Kasai, the Star Wars PS1 game that I do not have many fond memories of. So check that out. I had fun making it. It's probably the most outlandishly edited out of anything I've done so far. It's taken 2 months to make, but it was totally worth it, I think. I also stream on Twitch at Tie Your Shoes 1 at twitch.tv, where I am doing Fire Emblem Three Houses. So that's been pretty fun so far. But yeah, aside from Atomic Shart and Cinema Shot, that's pretty much what I've been doing.
You can follow me at twitter.com/MarvelousIggy for all things related to the Marvelous One. I'm slowly coming back to Twitter normally now, versus just lurking how I have been. I tried to stream this week and I thought about it, but ultimately I just couldn't, just didn't feel it. Hopefully this coming Sunday will be different and I'll resume Mass Effect, and I don't know what I'm going to do for my Tuesday game. I thought about just doing Sonic Adventure, but we'll see. I have no idea, honestly. Yeah, you can find that live at twitch.tv/Iggy284. I do 2814. I do plan to keep in my schedule of Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday live. But I hope I'll just have to see how I'm feeling. I just didn't think I had the energy. I think slowly I'm getting it back. But we'll see. And again, thank you all for listening and watching. Check out all our content at chartshot.com. Again, Atomic Shot, upcoming Cinema Shot. Hopefully the wrestling pay-per-view watch-alongs that Thomas and I do will be coming back. No word on whether those shows are going to go on the Peacock, since they changed everything, so no word on that yet. Yeah, that's going to do it. Thank you all for listening, watching, and we'll see you all next Monday for another episode of the Charged Gamescast. But until next time, stay charged. Have a good night, everybody.